What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Hope y'all doing well. It's Crypto Wonder back at it again. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope this year brings you all health, sound health, prosperity, stability, and overall wellness. Okay? There's a lot to deal with on an everyday. And so it's important when we face life and all that it brings, we're somewhat equipped, right, to receive all that we deserve by way of blessings, and that we can face all challenges that are brought to us. Now, this channel, a lot of times I go off on different tangents, especially because this channel, really, I talk about crypto because it's a very important aspect of life now. It's not something that's a novelty to me, because it's correlated with money, and money is not something insignificant, especially for those of us that live in the western part of the world, or not even the western part of the world. For those of us that adopt a western mindset or philosophy, we understand that money is a tool that's very important. Some people hold it more dear to them than their own lives. So as a person who is attracted to different things in life, I just basically I basically try to incorporate reality into crypto, right? Like, how can, if we talk about freedom, and we talk about being able to eliminate debt and create opportunities to build wealth that can last for generations, and move away from the confines and the structures that we exist under, that are sort of, not even sort of, but that are absolutely oppressive in nature. When you talk about central banks, when you're talking about these governmental bodies and institutions that remain empowered off of the backs of our sweat, our blood, our tears, our labor, there's just no doubt in my mind that we have to just consistently make the efforts to be aware of what's going on and what we're doing, so that we could be able to move forward successfully, right? This whole thing with crypto is really not a joke. Some people take it lightly, some people don't take it serious at all, but it's not a joke because it deals with money. This is why so many people who have the power are trying to control the cryptocurrency space. They're trying to have uh, uh, their own stake, literally, their own hands, their ability and influence to pretty much take over a space that was created to be decentralized. Okay? This was a space that was created to take the powers away from centralized entities that have been in control for so long, and so that the people can also have a say. This is not something that's celebrated by those entities. Those entities are not happy that crypto exists. They are not happy. The reason why, in my opinion, that they're trying to regulate it is because they can't destroy it. Okay? The times that they had to destroy it was very early in the game. Very, very early. Where they say And back in 2009 and maybe even 2010, where all the supercomputers of the world at the time could have pretty much destroyed cryptocurrency. However they were going to do it, I don't know. I don't know if that's even conspiracy, but the time has passed because the network effects have just become too strong and too secure. And it grows by the day where there's no way where this thing can be destroyed. Absent of some type of cataclysmic event or a series of cataclysmic events. And then God forbid, like, those things happen, we would have much more to worry about than intangible gains in our intangible wallets. We would have a lot more to worry about than some cryptocurrency if there were some worldly cataclysmic events. We had a taste of, what a world crisis would look like. We had a taste of it, and it impacted everybody, one way, shape, form, or another. Few people became more rich, and a lot more people continue to struggle, right? During the 3-year pandemic, few entities became more enriched during this global health crisis, which we're still feeling the residual effects of, and it hasn't gone away, and it may not ever go away. Who knows? But it's just a taste of what to show you of, like, certain things that occur that could impact the world, you know? Um, and that's what I think is important for people to remember. Like, a lot of times, or not even to remember, just to acknowledge. A lot of times, in my mind, I would think about how institutions, at one point, I used to believe in the narrative that institutions need to come into the crypto space, and that's what would give credence to crypto and allow mass adoption to take place. I'm not sure if I agree with that sentiment, that ideology anymore, right? Because the institutions have made their mark already. You have all types of financial powerhouses that are into crypto. Whether they're in it or not, or do whatever, they're in it. Most of them, many of them, hold a ton of crypto, which also lends me to believe that, again, they do not want the people to have the control. That's what they're doing, everything they can to take it away. Those of us who are waiting for Pulse Chain and Pulse X because we sacrifice for whatever, whenever that blockchain does come into existence and the DEX comes into existence, you have to remember that there are going to be even more opportunities for people to try to take away what you have. It happens every day. Folks don't want you to have what you have because what you have can potentially be life-changing. Crypto has shown us how life-changing the gains can be. So this is not conspiracy talk. This is not wishful thinking. This is reality. Do your research. It's captured in the blockchain. This is all documented, right? All of this is documented. When I think of how people want to fight the institutions and become independent and call their own shots and own their own keys, right? And participate in becoming their own banks. To me, that's a sign of becoming their own institutions within their own right. So, in order, some arguments people have said, get rid of the institutions. Well, you're becoming one. You're being, in my opinion, even though it's different than what we understand institutions as they are and what they've done. When you're stepping away and you're creating your own opportunity, that's an institution because other people will possibly mimic what you're doing by way of becoming sort of like detached or independent. right? That's a form of institution in and of itself, in my own opinion. But it's about the activity, it's about the thought, it's about what purpose to me. Like what's the purpose in all of this? Right? I live in a city where many people do not know the importance of how to manage their own money. They do not know how to use money the way it was intended to be used. They are not educated on how to become financially free or prepared to eliminate debt, things of that nature, right? And they've been living in this condition, including myself, where generations of bad money practices have been passed down for generations. And it's a struggle because even now when I try to talk to people and even teach them simple steps and things about crypto, just simple basic concepts, it's something that sort of like goes over their heads. They're not interested. They're very dismissive. They ignore what I'm saying, right? Especially now during a bear market or during the bear market period, people are just like incredibly afraid, but they're quick to go and try to take a loan out. They're quick to go and try to, borrow monies, even on the street. They're quick to go and get payday loans where they get virtually violated with high interest rates. They're quick to go and scrounge up some money to buy material items and material goods that will pay them nothing in return, especially while they sleep. They're quick to continue to dig the proverbial hole to remain in debt, but they do not want to relieve themselves of that type of misery, that type of financial agony. You understand? And it's a disservice that we've been dealing with for far too long, you know. And sad to say, I see young people, the generation after me, just sort of like some of them are mimicking those same poor activities. That's going to force them to remain broke, right? To remain destitute, to remain dependent on the system as they want us to be. They want us to remain enslaved in mind, body, and spirit, and definitely in our pockets. And we have to break ourselves out of that. Absolutely. You know, this last year, I've been talking about certain cryptos that I like, right? Genuinely like. I still like them. I learned a lot though, because I learned that sometimes you got to separate people from the code, the crypto, the blockchain, the smart contracts. You have to separate people in order to give yourself some perspective on what's taking place, right? Because there's a lot of things that took place last year and the behaviors of individuals, including myself, that did not help improve the performance of any token whatsoever. The bickering, the critical, the judging, the infighting, the drama, none of those things helped pump the price, especially of the token that I like to talk about, which is Hex. Right? I can't talk about Pulse Chain and Pulse X at the moment because it's non-existent right now. That's the only reason why I can't talk about those things. But as far as Hex, it's just been on a downturn for the entire year of last year. It doesn't mean that it's not going to go back up because the market in general is in a state of influx where it's a bear market. That's it. That's it. And then when everything turns around, it's going to be good all over again. But the thing is, what are you going to do during this time? What systems are you going to, because it's almost like the best opportunities to do great things are still ahead of us, but it takes preparation. It takes us to really study. It takes us to really take things seriously and almost like understand that what we're doing by preparing ourselves is positioning ourselves to then be rewarded handsomely for when things turn around. Because I mean, it's just how many times we could see those of us that have been in the market, that have been in this space for years. The previous bear market before this last bull market, where you saw how much some of these tokens cost. And if you would have just invested whatever, and during the bull market you came around, you would have made a killing. This is another opportunity of that happening again. But again, I'm not your financial advisor. It's about, again, positioning yourself. And it doesn't take much. It takes some dedication. It takes some discipline. It takes some motivation and drive, right? Because this takes work. It's not just about sleeping, sitting on your hands and waiting something to fall into your lap out of the sky. No, it takes work. You got to know what you have. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you own. You got to know what the purpose of all this is. And then when you acquire it, what are you going to do with it? A lot of times people are just going to sell before they could even realize any type of reward, right? It's another thing too that I see something that sort of like drives me a little crazy, right? It's the activities of the degenerate addict. There's this addictive nature of people that get into cryptocurrency that they don't want to really admit it outright, but they have an addictive personality that's almost damaging. Because you can be an addict to many different things, and it may not necessarily be harmful to you, but when you're gambling, for example, you're engaging in activities that shows that you're gambling, and you're throwing anything and wishing that it could win. That is not something that should be sort of like celebrated and praised, because other people will adopt those same types of bad habits and enjoy the losses like you have been enjoying the losses, and that's only going to multiply, and that's going to put a bad like everyone's going to experience. It's just going to be an incredibly harsh, negative experience, and no one's going to want to have anything to do with what you're talking about, especially in cryptocurrency, because people engage in certain things. It's just like whatever shiny opportunity that presents themselves, they want to attach themselves to it because they can't help themselves because of their addictive personalities and poor habits. And that's what you find. It's not a judgment, it's just a reality. It's an observation, but it's real, you know? Like I when you how you represent yourself is very important to me. Like you can't idolize the word degenerate and think you're not going to live up to those types of the characteristics of a degenerate and think it's cool. That's not a compliment. You know, however you want to spin it. However you want to spin it is not a compliment, but then the activity in and of itself, it's worse. The label is there, sure, and the label is a bad label, sure, but the activities of the degenerate, and especially in crypto, is incredibly harmful. It's incredibly harmful because the likelihood of you risking and losing everything is incredibly high, and that's not cool. That is absolutely not cool. And that's what helps. That's what's happened in 2022 in many cases, where people just want to get into anything and everything that's out. And that's not just limited to 2022. This is what happens because crypto also lends itself to a lot of gambling and bad practices. A lot of trash that's in crypto that's promising you X, Y, and Z returns or whatever and opportunities. You think it's always going to be there for you. You think you're going to be successful, and you find out real quick exit scams, rug pulls, bad experience. You lose everything. Start from zero over and over and over again. These are some of the moments and opportunities where you're tested because you're shown who you are. Now, if these are things about yourself that you don't like, you gotta change it up. You have to change it up. What is it that you're gonna do to yield different results? What is it you're gonna do to improve yourself to yield different results? Because everyone that's doing these things, they're not in your team. They're not there for your best interest. A lot of times when you watching people, content creators, promoters, shillers, influencers, whatever you want to call them, YouTubers, engaging in these activities, you're going to just kind of, and you're watching it over and over again. More often than not, you might want to adopt some of the things they're doing. And if there's bad practices, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have bad results. And what is it that is attaching you to certain content creators or viewers that's attracting you to whatever it is that they're doing that's wayward or that could potentially be harmful? Check yourselves. You really have to go back and check yourselves. And this is why when we talk about independence, because ultimately with all this crypto stuff, the decision for you to make anything rests on you. No one's forcing you to do anything. And it's sad because that's the truth. Because when you lose, who are you going to call? Who are you going to reach out to? What's the recourse? The SEC? What's the recourse? OFAC? What's the recourse? Department of Justice? If you're in the western part of the world, the United States, what's the recourse? How many billions of dollars people lose every year, all the time, every other month or whatever, because they're not checking themselves. They're not really understanding what's there. They're not really understanding things that are safer than others. Everything is risky, but then you have certain things in crypto that's just a little bit more, I said, quote unquote, on the level than many others. Whether it's coins, whether it's a contract with a token, whatever. Because it's about eliminating or minimizing the risk greatly so that you can succeed and be rewarded, so that you can create something virtually out of nothing, right? That could help benefit you and your loved ones and your community and your future as a person who's quote unquote free, if that's what you believe in or whatever. Even if it's just to ameliorate some type of financial hardship or struggle or whatever, or to complement whatever you have going on financially, that's a win. That's a win. But it's about really using your brain. Really, that's what it's really about. There's no physical work involved with this. It's all mental. A lot of people need to really understand that this is mental. This is a mental dexterity. It's not even just resting on anything intellectual. This is a mental exercise, applying the skill set that you learn, that you acquire, and executing it. That's it. Being smart, being patient. What does that rest on? Your mind, your well-being. You don't have to, get into engage in a workout when you're dealing with crypto. It's extremely passive, but it's also mentally active. That's what it's about. Knowing what you're getting involved with and being good with it, and then living your life and allowing this cryptocurrency to work on your behalf for you while you engage in any type of great activity that life has to bring, has to offer you. That's what it's about. And flourishing and developing and evolving. And then people get, mental laziness or intellectual laziness, and anything that just detracts from the greatness of what you're trying to achieve has no purpose to be in your daily life. Eliminate it, get rid of it. That's just if I had to offer any type of advice, is to minimize destructive distractions, especially when you're trying to concentrate on something that's really supposed to benefit you in the long run, and then that you could also help others grow, help others become, you can uplift other people. That's what it's about. When they talk about other people, like tell other people what's going on. Absolutely. Because if you have something great that's going on, why wouldn't you want to tell somebody else? Why do you want to keep things to yourself, keep everything to yourself? Why? That's a story for another day. All I'm saying is, listen, move with purpose. Think about what you're doing. Think about improvement. Think about like what is it that what's the next goal? What's the vision here? What's the mission? and keep it moving. I didn't listen to any news today regarding cryptocurrency because that's just one day. Might have missed a lot, might have missed a ton. But it's about the actions. It's about allowing these opportunities with this blockchain and these coins and these things to help bring what we deserve, and not trick ourselves out of these opportunities, not mentally talk ourselves out of a chance to win. I mentally talked myself out of many opportunities. I have suffered many losses. It's almost like it's required when you're in crypto to suffer some type of loss. That's almost like an absolute mandatory requirement. But it's only because many of us, we didn't have any real guides outside of our experience to really teach us anything. So we had to really put our hands over the fire to really learn. But it doesn't have to be your experience if you're new and you're entering this space. We fielded all of that. We took the hits for y'all. We took the hits. We, meaning myself, my peers, the folks that have been in crypto for a long time that are about it, that are good people. Let's talk about the good people. They're good people. I consider myself a good person because that's what it is and that's what I am. And I know other good people in the space, and that's what we've done. I've been blessed enough and fortunate that I've, developed good ties and relationships with decent people, whether, and it's 100% online, but still, it's still beneficial. I've learned a lot. And again, we took the hits so that you didn't have to by default. It is what it is, folks. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Talk to y'all later. Peace.